Good morning, Akshay.
Good morning, Anson.
Yes,
How are
yes.
you? Everything good?
Yeah, everything very good, very good. We've been knowing each other like more than 5 years, 7, 8 years. Yeah.
A lot more. I think like maybe 9 years. Yeah, yeah, almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time fly fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for being with me today. You are the 11th guest of the
Okay.
Việt Engineer Stories that I just started like 3 months ago.
I see.
You are the special guest because you are the first foreigners that being the speaker, but you are very special because you've been in Vietnam for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So at least there's some element of Vietnamese Vietnam in
Yeah.
you, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like not me not being Vietnamese, but like being nurtured in Vietnam for like 10 years. 10 years is like one
yeah,
third of my life already.
of course.
So being here and learning here, like if I can share anything good for engineers in Vietnam and like share anything that helpful for them, I think that would be
Yeah,
something I can give back to the society. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Perhaps let's get started by can you please introduce about you? What do you do, and how what make you to come to Vietnam? Yeah.
Your voice cut a little bit.
Oh, cut a little bit. I think that because of
Yeah.
internet. Let me open the door.
Yeah.
Come inside the room and a bit far off from the router. How is it now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear. I can hear more. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Right. So yeah, let's get started by introducing you. Like what do you do day to day?
Yeah.
And like what made you come to Vietnam like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so my name is Akshay. I studied in India. I'm
Mm,
from India. I studied electronics and communication engineering, so Điện tử Viễn thông. That's my major. And then after that, I was very interested in like robotics and also in computer science. So after university, I got a chance to come to Vietnam with an organization called ISEC. It's a youth organization that helps people go on exchange. So I came to Vietnam as a director for exchange. So like I was helping people from Vietnam go abroad and people from other countries to come to Vietnam to do internship. And that was just a 1 year term, right? And so during that time, I learned a lot about Vietnamese market, Vietnamese economy, people here, the culture. Before that, like before I came to Vietnam, I didn't know much about Vietnam. I know that it's a country. I studied in geography, but I don't know much about uh, like uh, like Japan or China, right? Like knowing them is much more content in the market. So when I came here, I worked with ISEC for 1 year, and then I worked with an Intel project after that, and that was like a breakthrough for me because I could use both my skills that I learned from the organization about marketing, sales, but also my electronics and computer science skills to collaborate into one place where we could, like do like smart homes, smart cars, smart projects, and also like contribute to the society by like evangelizing some Intel products into the market. Like it was like I think we were using Intel Galileo, Intel Edison, those
mm,
boards like Arduino kind of replacement boards from Intel. And I think
mm.
that's where I met you for the first time. You were working in IBM, and we had like some uh, sessions with the students, right?
Yes.
And then after that, like I met my co-founder during a trip to Vũng Tàu. Yeah, Vũng Tàu is your home city, right? So like we went there, like me and my co-founder, we met there, and then we discussed a little bit about like the Vietnamese rental and real estate market. And he was telling me like there's a lot of problems there, many things to solve. And I said like just make a website, let's put 360, let's put real information online, and let people choose the apartments that they want to rent. And that's how we started the company called Hoozing. So Hoozing is a real estate prop tech company. And it's been 8 years since then. So I'm currently the CTO and co-founder of Hoozing, and we are like building products for the real estate market in Vietnam. So it's something similar to like Compass, Redfin, Zillow kind of things in the US. Or in Singapore, maybe something similar to like Property Guru, iProperty, those kind of websites, helping the market like clean, organize, and be transparent for the real estate market by using technology as a medium. Yeah.
Sure. Fantastic. Awesome. You have a very very nice story. Like you move from one country like India to Vietnam, and you build career in Vietnam. Because with engineer stories is about like career shift, career planning. Let's talk a bit more about like what do you think as an engineer like you, but when you are exposed to like the ISEC program, exposed to sales, marketing, how does it help you to be very well-rounded into like how it help you to be successful in Hoozing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's a very good question, and like I think that's something like a very valuable learning that I had during my journey as well. Uh, One of the key reasons why like people cannot like excel in certain positions quickly, they will excel eventually, but like they cannot excel quickly is because they have the missing exposure of understanding business, like understanding how things work. Because when we are in universities, in Indian university or even in Vietnamese university, we are taught like some things that are just theory based, which are just like a little bit of our domain. But we are not taught about a lot more things that are needed to actually become a well contributor into an industry, right? So, for example, like during my university time, I did learn a lot about robotics. I did learn about like a lot of programming languages, C, C++, Java, embedded C, data structures, stuff like that. Like, so I'm very well nurtured in the sense that, okay, I can develop a software, right? I can write code, but can I build a product? Maybe not, because I don't know what is a product, because product needs product market fit, right? And a good product needs a product market fit, and then you need to understand what is market, right? So that business element is missing. Like, what does the market need? What does the customer need? What do we have to make to satisfy that need, right? Is that need satisfied? Can it be improved more? Have people done this before? And for that, like, I think like it's very important for us to do like some extracurricular activities during our university time. Fortunately, I was a part of ISEC, but I think there's many more organizations in Europe. They have Erasmus. I think in Vietnam they have ISEC. They also even I think that joining the youth union from the government also. I think any such activities where you go out, you face the customers, where you are doing a marketing job, where you are doing a sales job, or where you are doing like planning for marketing or sales, whether it's digital planning, digital marketing, whether it's like generating posters, designing, graphic design. All of these things are like valuable assets for you to learn about business, right? And once you bring those business things back to your domain of knowledge, which can be computer science, which can be electronics, which can be data science, which can be like being an architect, being a designer, graphic designer, it merges so well as an experience that you can know that your career path, how would it look like, right? So like eventually after 10 years, like being in a CTO role or even an operations role in the past, it helps me now develop good products for the market, whether it's in real estate, whether if any other company also approaches me, like it's easier for me to like support them to design a good product, which would eventually fit the market and grow the market.
Yeah, very valuable lessons. Do you still spend some time helping ISEC or
That's
Yeah.
We are part of the alumni network. Yes, we do go on some alumni events in Vietnam and in the regional area.
Yeah.
However, like I think since COVID, I think ISEC was struggling a little bit because they depend on exchange, and then COVID doesn't allow like any transactions. So since then, like I think the last time I was there, it was like during that time supporting the organization. But now I think that they are catching up and things are better. Like last 1 2 years, maybe I've not had too much contact. Yeah, but like yeah, for sure. Like anytime, like I would take ISECers into my teams nowadays. So young students, like I think the best way to give back to that organization is like you create internship opportunities, you create job opportunities for people to come and work for your company. And so yeah, in the last few years, I have hired people from ISEC in HR, in marketing, in sales, in customer service, because those people like when they come, they're very enthusiastic, and then also they get to learn from a practical experience.
Yeah. You mentioned something very close to my heart about internship. Back then, when I studied computer science 20 over years ago, I have no clue about internship. I just thought like it's something like I need to do out on a year, final year.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think internship is the very good opportunity for you to learn from the real world how it works. Right? It's completely different from the
correct.
what you study in school, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
learn how to work with people, how to get into a work in a real company context, right? It's very different from like the school projects in school, right? Yeah.
correct, correct.
Uh,
That's what actually one of the things that I like about the Vietnamese students nowadays. You know, like
yeah.
recently, last 5 years, I see is that uh, they are willing to do multiple jobs during their university time. Yeah, maybe because they want to have extra money, maybe they want to have extra experience. But the thing is that nowadays, like I am hiring like final year or just graduated students, and they have already done 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe it's a coffee shop, maybe it's a CGV, or maybe a little bit of like design, but they have done 2 or 3 jobs, and I think that's very good, valuable lessons that like students should take. Like if you have the chance to have like a 9 pointer in a university, or you have a chance of 8.5 with 3 job experiences, I would prefer the 8.5 with 3 job experiences, because they're already polished, right? Like they already understand, hey, if the customer is making this kind of demand, how I should handle. If there's something that's not aligned with the values of the company, how should I respond? How should I escalate it to my manager? Stuff like that. Like you learn a lot instead of me hiring like a very theoretical person, but then I have to wait for them to make mistakes. Like I would prefer the person who has had that kind of experience, right? In India, it's quite different. Like when I was in university, of course, I joined ISEC, and I was like an outlier in terms of like having an external experience. But like most of the people would just finish their university. Hey, I want to score good. I want to finish the highest ranking, and I want to like get a 9.5 out of 10, and get a good job after that. And that, I mean, I think like it can be sometimes a restriction until unless you're getting into like deep PhD roles or master roles, like maybe that is really useful. But if you are getting into a workforce after that, if you're going to join companies, if you're going to join like big fours or stuff like that, for sure, an experience before, I think is good.
Yeah, sure. I think it gives you not just experience but also the network, necessary network.
Yeah.
So you after you graduate, you can have many doors to all go to. Um, since you have been working very long in Vietnam and you work with a lot of engineers, like training, mentoring, um, because I keep hearing again and again that Vietnamese engineer, right? Technically they are very good, but in
Mm.
terms of communications,
Mm.
English communication, in terms of
Yeah.
soft skill,
Yeah.
working in a team,
Yeah.
uh, just the average engineer is still not there yet.
Yeah.
Um, so, what do you think? You from your observation of those
Mm.
engineers that you work before, What are some kind of platforms to help them to improve communications? Could be like participating in hackathons or do the internship or go to YouTube or
Yeah.
Can you say some thought about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Anson.
Yeah.
So there's several aspects to this, right? Like one is communication in the company or communication with people, right? So I think Vietnamese or English is not a big difference. Like in my company for sure, like if they have to talk to me, then they should have a little bit of English, right? However, not most of the companies in Vietnam need an English speaking environment, right? Uh, for like Vietnamese developers who are aware that they can get better jobs, they can get high paying jobs, they can get better opportunities, learn better. For sure, they will work on their English. But uh, but let's say like an average student in the university, I think even Vietnamese is okay. However, the problem is like how to communicate your idea well, how to communicate it confidently, how to speak up, how to discuss a good idea. This is something missing. Like it doesn't matter whether it's Vietnamese or English. Like I have hired people who were Vietnamese and then still cannot speak. They still cannot defend their idea. They still cannot, like discuss and innovate on top of their idea. And that's a problem, right? It's not about the language barrier. It's about like the communication barrier. Like,
Sure.
so I think like the first part of the question, like the solution should be, I think, students working on their presentation skills, like presentation skills, collaborative skills. Um, Recently I have been a part of like an organization institution called Viet AI, and that organization is actually building like good kind of engineers in Vietnam, especially in machine learning and data science. However, the way they are creating the environment is like people working together, people working in teams, people presenting every Friday, every two weeks, right? People demonstrating the final project, people making, like, of course the technology parts is something that they are training well, but the thing is that when I see the engineers picking up in the meetings, sharing their ideas, presenting their ideas confidently, these are young students, first year, second year, third year, fourth year students, right?
Sure.
They have to pay for that course for sure, but they are learning, right? They are preparing their skills, but they are getting these extra soft skills of like presentation, teamwork. Like we meet in coffee shops or we even do like remote meetings online, and we learn from each other, right? We discuss with each other. We argue, we defend the ideas, and we try to build something better. And
Yes.
I'm so surprised, like these people have not even graduated from university. They're discussing, let's say, with me, with their teachers, and they're coming up with ideas which I think even if I take a senior would not be able to
Yeah.
do by themselves. So I think that the first aspect would be working on these soft skills like presentation, discussion, teamwork, right? Uh, of course, the final year project, it gives them a space to talk a little bit about it. But I don't think that is enough. Like they should start it from the first year itself and build up to the final year as a final example, right? That number one. The second thing I
But
think is
you need to get some water to drink. You have water.
yeah. So give me a minute. I'll come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Hello, hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So we were saying like the soft skill part, right? So that's the first part I see. The second thing is um the importance of the skill set, right? Like for sure, like they need to it's good for the students to go out and learn new skill sets. So recently I started learning shell, shell scripting, like
Okay.
writing like code in Python, not in Python, sorry, in Linux, like how to use the basic commands and stuff like that. Because as a machine learning engineer or as a ML ops person, like you need to write a lot of scripts on Linux or even in the Power Editor on Windows, and sometimes you're not so good with that, right? And I think like learning those basic skill sets, like things that you have to use every day, I think it's quite good. Like how to create a directory, okay, it's easy. But like how to write a search script that can like create a directory for you with a certain extension, stuff like that. Like how do you do that, right? We need this every day, but like we are not so good with that. So sometimes we are like stuck, right? And we want to have like all the opportunities available for us, right? And they
Yes.
also teach us a lot about like how to make a good search system and stuff like that, So I think like improving skill sets is also important. Like if people are able to do some short courses on Coursera, like they have many free courses and stuff, it's quite good as well.
Yeah.
And the third thing, I think they can also work on their English. I think that's good if they want to get into an English environment. Like I think they can start practicing English. Nowadays, I see like all the machine learning students, because like the content is written in English. It's not in Vietnamese. The people are trying to convert. I think some of the VTI teachers are also doing it. They're converting the content into Vietnamese. However, when you are studying, let's say, like new technologies, let's say you're studying about large language models and stuff, you don't have Vietnamese content, right? You need to understand what is a large language model. For that, you need to understand what is a model, right? Of course, I can say "mày hình," "mày hình," right? Like in Vietnamese, we will say like model, right? But then how do you say large language, right? And how do you say train a large language model, right? So you need to use the English keyword anyway, right?
Yeah.
So if you are like, I know nothing about English, then for sure this is closed for you, right? So if you want to be like future proof, you need to read English documents. You need to read English books about what are the trends, right? Like if you're reading, let's say, um, books like Homo sapiens, right? Or Homo years or stuff like that. If you're reading those kind of books, like you need to know the English terminologies. If not, you cannot understand the trends that are coming up, right? So I think these are some of the key things like they can do. And for sure, like as I said, like organizations like Youth Union or ISEC or other organizations, which gives you more than just doing the university technical stuff, but like going out and doing like a little bit of like social work, a little bit of business related work.
Yeah.
I think that opens up more opportunities. Let's say if engineers want to like, I mean, like they might not see the role of it until 3 or 4 years of their beginning of the career. But then once they get into like, hey, I want to become a PM, I want to like a project manager, like hey, I want to become a PO, a product owner, I want to become a chief architect, I want to become an system architect, right? I want to become a data scientist. You are entering into business roles. You are entering into something that you are going to meet with the managers every day. You have to go and meet the customers every day. You need to learn about how to develop those things. And I think like having an early experience with that, it helps you reach those stairs faster. The important thing is that like in a ladder, you cannot jump the steps, but
Yeah.
you can climb very fast. That's the thing you can do. The difference between good engineer and bad engineer is that like a good engineer can climb the ladder fast, right? And like, a bad engineer will eventually climb, but it will take a lot of time, right?
Sure.
But no one can skip it. No one can directly become like a chief architect. It will never happen, right? Like you will have to climb it. It's just that if you have the skill sets that you have built, you can do it faster than other people. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Very, very powerful advices. A lot of values. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to add next. I think nowadays the younger generation have a lot of opportunity. It's just like how they want to cultivate. I mean, because students, engineer, Vietnam startup, like life learning, all this very close to my heart. Talking about you, right? I think you are also a very good example of like grow learner, like have like grow mindset. You keep learning, keep learning new stuff. When we met like last week, right? You say that you are now learning ML AI. Right? You used to be an electrical engineer. Yeah. Maybe can you say something about what you have been seeing, like AI ML applied to robotics, or at your Hoozing? Yeah.
Yeah, like the learning part, right? Like that's something that's very core to my values. Like keep learning is very important.
Yeah.
And actually, like recently, like last 2 3 years, I had the chance to go back to India, talk to my father, talk to my grandfather, and they have been like scholars. They have studied all their life, right? Like they are engineers, then they did a law degree, then they did like a master's, they did like research, they did like economics degree, like all their life they have been studying. And then my dad also, like recently he got retired, and after that he has already like he retired in February, and he has already studied 3 courses and got like certifications for that. So I mean, like it's in the bloodline to not be satisfied and study all the time, learn all the time. However, like I have put a definition for myself. Like learning here, it does not mean like just study something,
Yeah.
but also like learn a new skill set every year, right? So one of the key thing, like every year I put as a resolution for myself is to learn something new. And in Vietnam, last 10 years, I have studied. I have learned a lot of things. Like I have learned Japanese. I've learned like going to the gym. You know, like try to build muscles and build body. I have learned machine learning and AI. I recently started it like 2 years ago. I have tried to learn like finance controlling or financial development for me, like start saving money, right? So
Yeah.
every year I put like a goal for myself. Okay, this year I have to learn this,
Yeah.
and I have to try it, right? So if those things are like sticky, if I am interested in it, it will continue forever.
Yeah.
If some things are like, okay, I learned Japanese, but then I didn't have the chance to practice it too much. Okay, I still remember the characters, but like at least I am not scared about my brain cannot remember so many characters, or I cannot not learn something that is not English characters, right? Vietnamese and English is like you can read it, right? But like in Japanese, you make a character with some strokes and it has a meaning, right? So for
Yeah.
me, that was new, right?
Yes.
So I think like learning is like something that if we don't have, we feel stagnated. We feel like a blunt knife, right?
Sure.
You cannot cut more after a few years because you are getting blunt over time, right?
Yeah.
So recently I studied machine learning, AI, and this is before ChatGPT blew up. But then after ChatGPT blew up, I think like large language models and these kind of things are like something like very interesting. They have always been interesting, but now that the world cares about it, it also has like many job opportunities and
Yeah.
research opportunities, which are quite interesting, like very, very interesting, right? So in terms of machine learning AI in robotics, I think I have not implemented too much in robotics yet. However, like there are many applications already in terms of like trends, uh, um, in terms of like understanding signals, patterns of signals, avoiding hazards in the work environment. So robots are mostly used in like factories and stuff, and then you want to detect something that is an anomaly, right? Like for example, let's say we are in a Tesla manufacturing unit, and everything is going good, like all the doors, all the painting by robots is being done perfectly. But suddenly you see a spike of like a little bit of current increasing in one of the motor, right?
Yeah.
And the AI can detect that anomaly, can see it improve a little bit, increase a little bit, and they can stop it. Hey, stop this robot because I think that this motor has some issue, right? Because the current drawing from that motor increased a little bit, so you know that it might turn into a problem. And then, of course, like there can always be false flags, but like the engineers will recheck everything. So I don't think that it's completely dependent on AI machine learning. You would need a little bit of like human intervene into the process. But it helps a lot in terms of like, hey, I don't need to check all the robots all the time or every month. I just need to service the product that like the system points out, okay, there's 100 motors to check in the whole assembly line. Okay. It reduces the workload, but it increases the chance of like successful moving ahead. So this is more on the robotic side. However, I think that the trend right now is like more on the large language model side, generative AI side. So in general, so that means like all these mid-journey ChatGPT kind of products where like people can generate unique images, unique templates. Actually, in Hoozing also we have implemented AI. Like real estate agents, they can just like select a property and click share, and they can get all the content for that property generated automatically. Hey, you are living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Do you need a 2-bedroom apartment? $700 in Masjid Haudian. Fully furnished, pets allowed. The landlord is very friendly. Something like that. The AI will generate the content for you, right? And okay, people can say, hey, content I can write better, like with me or something. The thing is that AI here can generate the content for you in English, in Chinese, in Japanese, in Korean. And also, we also made like text to speech models. So these are like, you can create videos directly for property just by one button, right? So the AI creates a whole video for you, the whole template for you, the content for you, and then even speaks that content in different languages like English, Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So I think like the tools are already there, the support is already there, and now the important thing is like how can you integrate into different verticals of the industry that you are working in, right? So whether it's real estate, whether it's medtech, whether it's edtech, I think there's so many implementations that we can work on.
Yeah, I think thank you so much for your sharing. I think let's do a pause because I do have some urgent emergency now. I think really appreciate your sharing, Akshay. Still have a lot of things I want to ask you, but to be honest, this is a lot of value to the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your sharing, and
Yeah.
let's stay in touch. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.